Surveillance video at a local motel allegedly shows missing 15-year-old Elizabeth Ennen being kidnapped, forced into room 113 at the Carriage House Motel, chased into a corner, and finally forced into a parking lot.
My first impression was, oh my gosh, that beautiful little girl. Why is she with that man? He's so old. And the next day, I seen the little girl's picture flashed up, and that's her. That's the little girl that I seen.
45-year-old Umberto Salinas Jr. is now behind bars, charged with aggravated kidnapping.
Yeah, I've met him before, and he seemed to be nice.
What I seen coming from over here, when I parked, coming from over here, was an older man and a young girl. And my first impression was, oh my gosh, that beautiful little girl. Why is she with that man? He's so old. And I noticed the little girl was really stiff. I mean, she's walking stiff, almost robot-like. Later on that next day, I seen the little girl's picture flashed up, and that's her. That's the little girl that I seen. That's her. That's the little girl. It didn't look to me like she was a runaway, because a runaway can do, come and go as they please. This child was almost hostage-like, and he put her in the car like a bag of garbage. He just threw her in there. I want to choke him. I want him to tell her mother where she's at. Her mother has lived so many weeks without her daughter. She needs her daughter.
We are taking your calls out to Laura in North Carolina. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Nancy. I have two questions. First of all, the lady that was just speaking who said that she seen the look of fear and him putting her in the car at the Dollar General, why did she not contact the police immediately? I mean...
You know what, Laura? That was my question, too. When I was calling for that sound earlier to point out, if I saw that, I would call police. I guess there is the general feeling out there that if it's your child, you can abuse them. What about it, Karen Stark?
You hit the nail on the head, Nancy. I feel like people get afraid because they seem to believe that the person is connected. And yet, really, nobody should be out there abusing a child. So why not take the risk? Why not go forward and say, this doesn't look good to me? And if somebody says to you, you know what, you made a mistake, so you made a mistake, but at least you erred on the side of caution.
Okay, Liz, can I go out on a limb and ask for that sound again? All right, here we go.
What I seen coming from over here, when I parked, coming from over here, was an older man and a young girl. And my first impression was, oh my gosh, that beautiful little girl. Why is she with that man? He's so old. And I noticed the little girl was really stiff. I mean, she's walking stiff, almost robot-like. Later on that next day, I seen the little girl's picture flashed up, and that's her. That's the little girl that I seen. That's her. That's the little girl.
To C.W. Jensen, Portland Police Captain retired. C.W., a lot of people always ask, why didn't she run?
Many times children, and we see it a lot of times when someone exerts a lot of control over them and fear. This poor little girl was assaulted, held against her will. They just give up. They give up and hope, if I do what they say, I won't get hurt. And as we see in this case and many other cases, that isn't what happens. The violence just gets worse and worse and worse and escalates. And to your point, if you see someone and it makes you visceral, it makes you scared, or it makes you sick, that's when you really need to call the police. We all see things every day that seem goofy, but when you see something that seems as just bizarre as this woman is describing, she really should have dropped the dime to 911.
To Dr. Howard Oliver, former deputy medical examiner, forensic pathologist, joining us out of L.A., motels can be a very complicated scene to process. Why?
The thing that would complicate the scene there is that it's cleaned daily, or it's supposed to be cleaned daily. There are multiple inhabitants at different times, so there would be a lot of DNA evidence. a lot of the evidence would be contaminated or even destroyed.
LA's lawyers, Peter Ellikin, Carmen St. George, defense attorney, New York. Peter Ellikin, defense attorney, author of Super Predators, joining us out of Boston. Carmen, there's going to be no way around this. You know, I remembered so many times saying to a jury, what else do you want it? You want to see it on video? Well, this time, it is on video.
Well, Nancy, I think one of the strongest things also that they have are observations of people who saw him in her custody. And also, he went into the police voluntarily and made statements without representation of counsel. So whatever admissions he made are going to be a part of this investigation and probably a basis for establishing charges against him.
What about it, Peter?
Yeah, I think the statements that he made, and I understand he made some statements that he may have already been caught in a lie. I think he mentioned that he was actually dropped her off with his children in the car, too, went along for the ride because he didn't want to leave them alone in the hotel room. But now witnesses are saying that he was, you know, escorting her out and driving her away by himself. So he's already locked himself into a story, and he really started jabbering away to the police way too soon for his own good.
But, you know, back to you, Ellie Jostad, it may be more complicated than we know. There may have been much more of a chance to save her than we know because we've got him on that surveillance video the night she was babysitting his children, but now we see her popping up at the Dollar General.
Right, Nancy. And the other thing to keep in mind here, too, is that this suspect has a lengthy criminal history. He's got a 1986 conviction for injury to a child. He's got a conviction from just a couple years ago for allegedly abusing his wife. He's got a couple of DUIs, some theft charges. It's not a good history for this man.
To Nikki in Texas. Hi, Nikki.
Hi, Nancy. How are you?
I'm good, dear. What's your question?
Nancy, this just makes me in my stomach. I feel like this little girl could have been saved if that lady would have just spoken up, just went over there to that little girl and asked her if she was okay. My question is, where was this man's wife, supposedly?
The wife. Where was the wife? Okay. To Stephanie Brzezinski, where was the wife during all this? I know she played bingo or something with her sister, or was with her sister for a period of time, but then she came back home.
Nancy, you're going to have to repeat that. I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Ellie, where was the wife?
He actually went that night to go play bingo. The wife, you're right, did go out with her sister. That's why they'd hired a babysitter.